Velkomin í hlaðvarpið Bókást. Í þessu hlaðvarpi fjalla ég bækur og allt sem við kemur bókum. Ég heiti Kristjana Guðbrandsdóttir en ætla núna að skipta yfir í ensku því gestur minn í dag Gillian Stewart frá Skotlandi. So yes, I'm thrilled to be joined by Gillian Stewart, a master bookbinder, I would say, whose work I think bridges tradition and contemporary design, bringing a centuries-old craft into the modern world. Gillian, thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. I've had such a good time.
I'm glad to hear that. Let's start at the beginning, just so people know why you're here. They might be curious about that.
Good question. So I was asked to visit to share some bookbinding skills and processes with the Nordic Bookbinders who are
Society?
Here. Society, yes, Nordic Bookbinders Society, who are here with the Nordic Nature exhibition. So a lot of bookbinders from all over the Nordic countries have come to Reykjavik to not only see the exhibition, but to meet each other. Yeah. I think that's the joy of a group like this. We work by ourselves. We come together, we talk about books, we get really geeky, and it's such a rare treat.
Yeah,
a lot of us work by ourselves. So I was here to share my skills, but also I've been made to feel very welcome and part of the gang. So I've made lots of new friends and learned a lot as well. It's been great.
Yeah. So what about you? When did you decide to become a bookbinder? I'm sure it was not a simple,
Good question. A lot of us find ourselves as bookbinders through a strange route. It's never usually straightforward. So I went to art school in Glasgow. I went to Glasgow School of Art and I studied illustration. So I was printmaking and I was telling stories visually. And a lot of the time I would make a book to tell those stories. And I became so much more interested in the form of the book and how the materials affect the way you feel about the story and the different structures you can use. And I got every project I made in my studies ended up being a book. And then, yeah.
It's a clue.
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. But I didn't know that bookbinding was a job. It seemed like the dream. And after I graduated, I was an illustrator for a while. I worked in bars. I was a bit lost. Everyone who leaves art school goes through that phase.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I got a traineeship in what we call a trade bindery. So that's making thesis or doing repairs or quite simple books. And that's when it was an accidental job, but I really loved it. I loved measuring things.
That's how they caught you.
Yes. And I think a lot of women, I think, aren't encouraged to maybe always think of ourselves as good at measuring things or being technical or thinking of engineering. But I'm not trying to brag, but I was quite good at that sort of thing. It seemed, and I was surprised. So I worked there for a few years, and then I got a scholarship from the Queen Elizabeth Scholarship Trust. So that funds craftspeople in the UK to further their skills and learn from different people.
So important.
Very important. And with bookbinding, it's so hard to learn. There's not, in Scotland certainly, there's not any full-time courses. There's no apprenticeships. It's a craft that's quite hard to learn and to get good at. So the scholarship really helped me. And then I got involved with the Society of Bookbinders and Designer Bookbinders, and they've supported me a lot in training and in the community and mentorship. So
that is important as well, this community, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've found that bookbinders, not just in the UK, but here globally, we're quite a generous bunch. Very eager to share skills.
There's secrets.
There's no secrets. There's no gatekeepers. Everybody is very happy to share their processes and to help each other and to encourage each other. Especially older generations have been quite happy to see younger people coming in.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them are a bit worried that there's not enough younger bookbinders. So I've found everyone to be really encouraging and happy.
And really helpful. We have examples of that here. So can you walk us through like a day in your studio and, tell us a little bit about how you work and what your work situation
Well, that's a good question.
is.
So I work by myself full-time as a bookbinder in my studio in Glasgow. So that's in an artist studio with lots of different creative people around about me. But my studio is just me. And every day is different. Some days I might just be doing emails. with clients. That's my least favorite kind of day when I'm emailing or I'm doing my admin or doing my banking. But usually there's some sort of making. So I might have, currently, when I go back to Scotland, I have a fine binding, a design binding that I am making. So before I left, I put the leather on the book. So it's drying while I'm here. And when I go back...
Days and days and days.
It takes a long time, especially in Scotland where it rains a lot.
Yeah, too humid.
Yes. So when I get back, I'll be sanding the inside of the boards and putting the leather on the inside. And then I'll be doing some gold tooling. So those sorts of jobs, I need to get quite zen and quite calm.
Patient.
Quite patient, yes. So I need to feel quite confident but calm. Other days, I might be making 20 books for an artist or for some sort of event, and then it might be very quick deadline. So then I need to get the music going in my head and I need to go fast. So I might be making covers, or what we call cases. I might be trimming books with my guillotine, or foil blocking where you put the titles on. I might be colouring the edges of the books, all sorts of different processes. And then some days I'm also teaching. So I teach groups, or I might be at a college teaching, or I might have a student in my studio. So there's many different things.
Wow.
Many
You're
different
not
days.
kidding about this. There's not a single day the same. So I find there's like a strong sense of tactile beauty in your works. But the materials you use, what role do they play? Are you a bit of a geek about some materials? And
Yes, I think so. I think the materials are very important. There's many things that bookbinders are thinking about. Because my work, either I'm designing a fine binding, so that's a leather book usually, where I would spend 4 weeks or more, or I'm working with an artist and it's their content, or a writer and it's their content. The important thing that we always start with is the concept behind the book, or what the book makes me feel and how we communicate that. That's quite broad, but the materials that we use can affect that, and what we do to those materials can affect that. So if I'm doing a fine binding, usually we'll use leather, but not always. And that is, it's a material that it can be quite traditional, but you can do things to it that are quite creative and contemporary.
And not so easy maybe to do it on plastics or other,
Yes. So I tend to use leathers and papers and textiles. There are other bookbinders who use different materials like wood or acrylic, which is quite exciting. As I get more experience, I'd like to do some of that. But leather is probably the one that we use the most, and it's I love it because you can do so much to leather. It can take a lot. You can print it, you can dye it, you can tool, you can etch, you can press, so you can change the texture and the feel to. It's very versatile, and then you need to thin it with lots of different tools. I really like using tools, and it's once it's wet, you can change the shape of it in incredible ways. And sometimes it does what you want, and sometimes it doesn't. So it's quite difficult. But we like using leather. I like using leather. But yes, also papers. Use a lot of papers. But we're always trying to think about not only what feels right for the book, what feels right in our hands, what communicates the message, but also what will last as long as
and
possible.
what works and functions.
Yes, what will function well, and the engineering of it. Will it last a long time? Will the materials degrade over time, or will they last? So we're also thinking archivally as well. So there's many different things we need to be considering when we choose the materials for our books.
Yes, you're geniuses. That's for sure. What about clients and the conversation between you and the client? How much of your voice ends up in the work? Is it the full voice, or do you have to sometimes make?
That's a good question. It depends on the client. So some of my clients are book collectors who might have seen my work and don't want to see even a sketch. They'll just send me a book block and they want me to interpret it and send the book to them finished, which is quite fun, but quite scary.
It is scary. That's what I was thinking.
Because they obviously trust you, so you have to trust yourself, and sometimes that's not easy. Or the other types of client I have might be like an artist or a writer who wants to have a book made of their work, and they want something quite contemporary or a bit unusual. So they might have some ideas, but they maybe need a bit of guidance and direction. So I have to be able to interpret what they might like and to show them examples of things that I think are what they're looking for. You have to be quite careful though, because if you have a client who doesn't really know and you show them everything, they'll be overwhelmed. Because there are so many options in a custom book. So
you kind of have to take charge.
You do have to take charge. And I'm not naturally a take charge person, but I think I've got better at it because I've sort of understood that people are looking for sort of my opinion and guidance. And that just comes with experience. So sometimes it's purely my voice, but most of the time it's a bit of a collaboration between me and the customer, which is nice.
I know you have an opinion about people. You want people to afford having something that a bookbinder has made.
Yes.
And you made some products, right?
Yes. I care a lot about the accessibility of craft. I come from... I don't come from loads of money, and a lot of the arts and craft can be quite elitist, and maybe it's only available to people with lots of money.
Exactly.
And it's hard when you're a bookbinder. You want to make something that's as good as you can, and that often comes with a big price tag, so not everybody can afford that. So I feel quite strongly that good craft should be accessible, but I've also got to pay my bills and run a business. So as well as the custom fancy client work, I also make small ranges of products like sketchbooks or photo albums or archive boxes, which are at a lower price point. So they'll use maybe simpler methods, but still high quality materials, and that comes with a lower price point where someone of like normal income can afford. So
I like the thought of this.
Thank you.
Bookbinding is such an ancient, old craft. How do you see the future of bookbinding? How can it be relevant, in the digital age?
Such a good question. And as AI takes over everything, more and more relevant.
Yeah.
When Kindles came in, this was before I was bookbinding, but bookbinders who have more experience and were around when Kindles came out talk about how we were worried that we would never read books again, physical books.
Yeah.
And I think it's the opposite. We're still reading books, and if you look at the trends in paperback or hardback sales, people are still reading paper books, and the quality of those is becoming a bit more special. So we're seeing trends in mass-produced books with coloured edges or, cloth special editions. So I think it's becoming that when you have a physical object, there's more appreciation for it. So I think that not only will we see an increasing appreciation of physical books, I think we'll also see members of the public, people wanting to learn to make books as well. As we live increasingly online, we're wanting to still make things with our hands.
And touch things.
Yes, absolutely. So I get quite a lot of students who come to maybe one-day workshops. They just want a craft day. And they talk about how relaxing it is to be making something and how good it is for them, if they're used to working on screens, to be making something. So I think as more of us are working on screens, we'll also see a need in our spare time to make things with
we'll
hands.
miss it more. What advice would you give to someone who's just discovering bookbinding? This is a hard one, I think.
It's a hard one, but what an exciting place to be at.
Yeah.
I would say, if you're learning, learn from as many people as possible. It's hard because there's not that many schools, but if you can get some funding or join a society, the Nordic Bookbinder Society.
Find your people.
Find your people. And there you'll learn about other connections and types of books and opportunities. So meet as many bookbinders as you can. Don't be scared. I think some people are shy to go into a new group, but most bookbinders are really lovely, and we're also
and so helpful.
Yes, and also kind of shy.
Yeah.
So we're all the same sort of people.
True.
So learn from as many bookbinders as you can. Make friends. Join a society, I think, would be the best. In any country, they'll probably have one.
Yeah, and don't be embarrassed about learning new techniques, because
Absolutely
even
not.
bookbinders, they're still learning their whole lives.
There
right?
is no bookbinder who knows every process completely well and, you know, to the perfect degree. There's bookbinders who specialise in one thing. They'll be terrible at something else. I'm sure they would say that. So don't be intimidated or feel bad that you don't know everything, because that's the joy of bookbinding. You could do it for 30 years and you'll still be learning. There'll always be
That's the
something
truth.
new.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure
My
having
pleasure.
you. I hope you will actually come again.
I would love to.
And I'm sure some Icelanders would love to visit your studio
I would love to.
in Glasgow.
In Glasgow, in
Yeah.
the East End of Glasgow. My studio name is Juju Books. That was a childhood
That's the
nickname.
name of the website as well.
Juju Books, Juju Books. Apparently in Finnish, Juju means trick. So it's trick
Yeah,
books.
we found that out today. That is so funny.
Isn't it great?
It's great, actually.
So yes, it would be lovely to come back again. It's my first time in Iceland. It's been amazing. And
Yeah, we want more bookbinders, so we're trying to charm you.
oh my gosh, I am charmed. Job's done. And yes, anyone is welcome in Glasgow. We like to think of ourselves as, some of us like to think we're Nordic. We're not, but we like to pretend.
Well, yeah, I think you are maybe a bit. We also like to think of ourselves as, you know, that we have a strong bond.
Yes, absolutely. So no, thank you for having me. This has been lovely.
Thank you, Gillian.
Pleasure.